The 9th of August, 1965. A man sits in front of television cameras. His name is Kuan Yew. He's about to deliver the most important speech of his life. He begins speaking.
On this moment when we signed this agreement which severed Singapore from Malaysia, it will be a moment of anguish.
His voice is steady. Then it cracks. He stops mid-sentence. His face twists. And then live on national television in front of millions of people. He breaks down completely.
I had believed in Malaysian merger.
Why is he crying? Because Singapore, at this moment, is not a nation. It's a death sentence. His country has just been expelled from Malaysia, kicked out, unwanted. Half of its water comes from Malaysia. 90% of its food is imported across a single causeway. The island has no farmland, no oil, no minerals, no industry. Just a tiny, overcrowded port. Sitting in a dangerous neighborhood, 75% of families live in shacks. No toilets, no running water. Ethnic riots between Chinese and Malays leave bodies in the streets. More than half the population cannot read. This is the country Lee must lead, a country that looks less like a nation and more like a failed state waiting to collapse. But those tears on television, they weren't the end. They were the beginning of one of the greatest comebacks in modern history, because the man crying that day refused to surrender. In just 30 years, Kuan Yew will transform this slum-ridden port into one of the richest countries on earth, richer than Malaysia, the very country that expelled him, cleaner than London, safer than New York, so well governed that other nations study it like a textbook. But here's the uncomfortable part. He won't do it through democracy. He'll do it through control. Chewing gum? Banned. Drug trafficking? Death penalty. Criticizing the government? Lawsuits that destroy you. Press freedom? Controlled. Political opposition? Crushed. And yet, it works. Singapore becomes living proof of something dangerous, that you can build extraordinary prosperity without political freedom. A successful dictatorship, efficient, rational, almost desirable. Today, we're going inside the machinery Lee built, how one man took a dying island and engineered a miracle, and why that miracle came with a price most democracies would never accept. This is Kuan Yew, the man who made Singapore the breakdown. For 6 weeks after that speech, Lee disappears. He locks himself inside a government cottage. Can't eat, can't sleep. Doctors prescribe tranquilizers. Parliament hangs in limbo, uncertain what comes next. But even in despair, Lee is calculating. He writes to British Prime Minister Harold Wilson, "Do not worry about Singapore. My colleagues and I are sane, rational people. Even in our moments of despair, we will weigh all consequences before we make any move." After 6 weeks, he emerges. And this is the chessboard he faces, a tiny island. No army, no resources, no defensive capacity, surrounded by much larger neighbors who could turn hostile at any moment. Indonesia, the regional giant, just bombed Singapore months earlier. 2 Marines attacked McDonald House in the city center, killed 3 civilians, injured 33. Singapore captured the bombers, tried them, sentenced them to death. In Singapore, they were terrorists. In Indonesia, they were heroes following orders. Executing them would inflame Jakarta, but releasing them would signal weakness. Lee makes his choice. The executions proceed. Riots erupt in Indonesia. Students storm Singapore's embassy. Diplomatic relations collapse. And this is where Lee does something that shocks everyone. the pragmatist. Lee flies to Jakarta. Personally, he goes to the graves of the 2 executed Marines, and he bows, scatters flowers. He's not apologizing. He's acknowledging their sacrifice. As soldiers, it's humiliating, but it works. Relations stabilize because Lee understands something fundamental. Singapore needs Indonesia as a partner, not an enemy. Pride means nothing if your country disappears. Within weeks, Singapore joins the United Nations. Recognition comes fast. By 1967, Lee co-founds ASEAN alongside Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines. Singapore is no longer alone, but diplomatically recognized or not, the island has no military. The British are leaving. Malaysia and Indonesia could invade at any moment. So Lee creates national service. Every young man must serve. Mandatory. No exceptions. For training, he secretly turns to Israel, a small country surrounded by hostile neighbors. That defeated much larger armies through discipline and strategy. Israeli advisors build the doctrine for Singapore's new armed forces. By 1971, 16,000 men stand ready. Lee's message is blunt. If you cannot defend yourself, no one else will. Now that Singapore can defend itself, Lee turns inward. And the greatest threat isn't external anymore. It's internal, and it's about to tear the country apart, engineering a nation. Singapore isn't one people. It's Chinese, Malays, Indians, dozens of dialects, competing religions, deep ethnic tensions that regularly explode into violence. Lee's solution is brutal in its simplicity. Declare all races equal, then enforce it from above. He makes 4 official languages: Chinese, Malay, Tamil, and English. Every child learns their mother tongue, but they must also learn English, the neutral language that will unite them. Religion is controlled. Any attempt to spread faith in ways that create division is forbidden. Housing comes next. Lee supercharges the Housing Development Board, moves hundreds of thousands of people out of slums into government-built concrete apartments, running water, electricity, stability. But there's a trick embedded in the system. Housing quotas force Chinese, Malays, and Indians to live side by side. You can't create ethnic enclaves if the government controls where you live. To pay for all this, Lee creates the Central Provident Fund. Workers must deposit 20% of their wages into it. Officially, it's for retirement. In reality, it becomes a massive pool of national capital. Lee uses it to build housing, finance infrastructure, fund investments, and here's the key: no welfare handouts, no subsidies. Every citizen must stand on their own. But none of this works without one thing. And Lee is obsessed with it: the war on corruption. Lee doubles the salaries of ministers and civil servants. High pay, he believes, reduces the temptation to take bribes. Then he unleashes the Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau. Their mandate is simple: investigate everyone, no exceptions. When Lee's own Minister for National Development, Tay Cheng-wan, is caught taking $1 million in bribes, the CPIB moves in immediately. Before trial, Tay kills himself, swallows pills, dies. Lee's reaction is ice cold. He has done wrong. He has received bribes. I cannot save him. No one is above the law. Even a loyal minister is expendable, because if we accept one exception, everyone will do it. That message echoes through the entire government. Corruption becomes career suicide, literally. Meanwhile, Lee brings in Dutch economist Albert Winsemius for advice. Winsemius is blunt. Forget ideology. Forget nationalism. Make Singapore irresistible to foreign companies. Keep taxes low. Fight corruption. Guarantee stability. Clean the island top to bottom. Build factories. Train workers. If you do this, multinationals will come. Lee listens. American and Japanese giants arrive. Texas Instruments, Hewlett-Packard, General Electric. The abandoned British dockyards become shipyards. Singapore Airlines launches. Neptune Orient Lines forms. The education system reorients overnight to produce engineers and technicians. And the economy explodes. But growth without order, in Lee's mind, is chaos. So he builds the cage. The cage. In the 1970s, Lee shifts to total control. Chewing gum? Banned. Why? Because people stick it on subway doors and elevator buttons. Causes malfunctions. Drug trafficking? Death penalty. Mandatory hanging. No appeals. Littering, spitting, jaywalking. Fines in the thousands of dollars. Long-haired men are barred from public service. Women are pushed into schools and jobs. Lee even launches the Stop at 2 campaign, discouraging families from having more than 2 children. Later, when he realizes it's pushing Singapore toward rapid aging, he reverses it. But the message is clear. The state decides what's right. Never mind what the people think. Political opponents aren't jailed outright. That's too crude. Instead, they're bankrupted through defamation lawsuits or detained without trial under the Internal Security Act. The press is controlled, censored, made compliant. Lee's philosophy is blunt. I am often accused of interfering in people's private lives. Yes, if I had not, we would not be here today. And his foreign policy is just as ruthless. In the 1970s, the CIA tries to infiltrate Singapore's intelligence service. Lee exposes them publicly, humiliates Washington, fines the United States $100 million, and America pays. He calls Australia the white trash of Asia for relying only on raw material exports. He dismisses India as a nation of unfulfilled greatness. He warns Africa that corruption will destroy them. At the same time, he balances East and West. American warships dock in Singapore's port. But Lee also opens to China. When Deng Xiaoping launches reforms in 1978, he studies Singapore as the model. The world's most populous nation learns from one of the smallest. But why is Lee like this? Where does this obsession with control come from? The scars. Lee grew up with a gambler father who squandered the family's money. His mother held everything together. In 1942, he watched the British Empire collapse in 70 days when the Japanese invaded Singapore. The shock never left him. In 70 days, the British Empire was finished. I decided then, no one will push Singapore around again. Under Japanese occupation, he narrowly escaped the Sukching massacres. Tens of thousands of Chinese men were rounded up and executed. He survived by pure luck, told to fetch his clothes, then spared by a different guard. To survive, he learned Japanese, adding it to his English, Malay, and Chinese. He even tried selling glue during the war. Before becoming the top student of his generation, these scars taught him something. Never depend on anyone. Never trust chance. Everyone must stand on their own. And the results prove him right. Here's the part that makes this story so uncomfortable. The miracle. By the year 2000, Singapore's GDP per capita already matches Canada and France, around $24,000 per person. By 2025, today, it reaches $90,000 per person, higher than the United States at $85,000, far above Malaysia at $12,000, and Indonesia at $5,000. In education, Singapore ranks at the top of global PISA tests, beating Finland, Japan, and South Korea. In math, science, reading, the Port of Singapore is one of the busiest on Earth. Changi Airport is consistently rated the best in the world. Singapore Airlines is synonymous with luxury and efficiency. A country with no natural resources has become an intellectual and financial powerhouse. Foreign investors pour in because Singapore guarantees three things: low taxes, zero corruption, absolute stability. The streets are clean. Crime is almost non-existent. The government works with machine-like precision. Lee built exactly what he promised. A miracle, but the cost is freedom. Opposition politicians are bankrupted or jailed. The press is controlled. Dissent is dangerous. Privacy is limited. The state monitors, regulates, and intervenes in nearly every aspect of life. And yet, most Singaporeans accept it because the deal works. You give up political freedom. In exchange, you get safety, prosperity, a future, and this is where the story becomes bigger than Singapore. Conclusion. In March 2015, Kuan Yew dies. At the age of 91, almost 2 million Singaporeans line up in the rain to say goodbye. To the dictator who gave them hope, his funeral isn't just mourning, it's gratitude for the man who took a dying island and turned it into a nation that works. But Lee's legacy is more than Singapore. It's a dangerous idea that authoritarianism can work, that freedom isn't necessary for prosperity, that order, control, and discipline matter more than democracy. And in a world where democracies struggle with corruption, gridlock, and inequality, Singapore becomes a tempting model: efficient, clean, prosperous, controlled. China studies it. Gulf states copy it. Authoritarian leaders everywhere point to it and say, "See, you don't need freedom, you need competence." Lee proved something the world didn't want to believe: that you can build extraordinary success without political liberty, that a benevolent dictatorship, if competent enough, can outperform messy democracies. Singapore is the exception that haunts the rule. Because if one man could do this with a tiny island, what stops others from trying the same thing? And what happens when they try it without Lee's discipline, without his pragmatism, without his refusal to steal? What happens when someone copies the control, but not the competence? That's the question Lee's miracle leaves behind. Singapore works, but can it be replicated? Should it be? Kuan Yew built the world's most successful dictatorship, and the world is still debating whether that's a triumph or a warning.